Don't you see? We've been thinking in 3 dimensions. We have to get 2-dimensional.
Well, hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 4, Episode 10, The Loss, first aired back in 1990 on, well, the last day of 1990, actually, December 31st. But here in 2026 on Live Long and Podcast, we're just getting started. Whether you're joining us live on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or catching the audio version wherever you get your podcasts, our mission to rewatch every episode of TNG continues. One telepathic mystery, one cosmic anomaly, and one emotional reckoning at a time. This is your captain speaking. I am your host, Dave Mader. Tonight, Counselor Troi suddenly loses her empathic abilities just as the Enterprise is pulled off course by a group of 2-dimensional life forms migrating towards a deadly cosmic string. And as they try to free the ship, Troi struggles with the grief, anger, and fear that she can no longer serve as ship's counselor. Let's break it all down with tonight's panel. Coming in first, she's tuned into every emotional beat. Troy's frustration, her grief, her defensiveness, and the quiet moments when she tries to hold herself together. When an episode dives into identity, vulnerability, and emotional honesty, she's right there feeling every ripple. It's Narduzzi, Heather Narduzzi.
Hello all, welcome. Glad to be here and get into this episode. I always love a Troi episode. This is not one of my favorites, but it's a good one.
Yes, I'm excited to talk with you, Narduzzi. Also coming in, he was a last-minute addition, but we're glad to have him with us. He's ready to break down the tactical situation, the ship being dragged by 2-dimensional beings, the maneuvering options, and the risks of approaching a cosmic string. If the anomaly throws a curveball, he's the first to analyze the play. It's Chris Shaggy Vasilis.
Happy to be here tonight and analyze this. Again, probably not my favorite Troi episode, but it's a good one. So happy to break it down with you guys.
Glad to have you with us, Shaggy. Yes, as we are talking about The Loss, the 80, what is this now? We're up to the 84th episode of Star Trek The Next Generation overall that aired on December 31st, 1990. New Year's Eve, everyone, going into 1991. A story by Hilary J. Bader and a teleplay by Hilary J. Bader, Alan J. Adler, and Vanessa Green, and directed by the great Chip Chalmers, who I always enjoy his camera angles. As mentioned, yeah, we got a lot of Troi losing her abilities when they hit a 2-dimensional beings, and then she yells at she yells at Crusher, she yells at Riker, and doesn't really yell at Picard, but is put as close as she's willing to go with Picard in this episode. And for me, I think it is a good episode. I think it's interesting. It's a lot of character development. I think it shows one of our characters, one of our main members of this cast, in a little vulnerable state, a little less perfect than some of them sometimes come across. So.
And of course, we get Guinan, which I always love to see Guinan show up.
Yes, Whoopi Goldberg.
Employing a little reverse psychology, counseling the counselor.
I absolutely love Guinan. She lays down the wisdom every time she's on the screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we've had Guinan in an episode. Glad to have her here as we're now fully into our post Wesley Crusher era. As he has departed the show last week. Adam
Look who
Woodward
we have
says,
here. Hey, can I join? Can be on in 10 minutes. Yes, Adam, join
well,
us.
we won't deny you. We won't deny you. We joked the other night on the Firefly podcast that he would just pull over just to give the episode a 0, and then we keep going back on the road. Yeah, like, but we'll see what Adam has to say when he's able to join. Yeah, so this episode written by Hilary J. Bader, who began writing as an intern and would go on to write Dark Page, which is another Troi episode, right? Like, isn't that
Love
the
that
one?
one, yeah.
Where they can't
That's
sleep.
the one with Loxana and Hedra.
Right. That's with Kirsten Dunst and all that in season 7.
That's right, yeah. And then they learn about Troy's deceased half-sister.
Right.
Oh, that's a
who
great
she
episode,
later
yeah.
names her child after with Riker.
Right. Yeah.
I want to say Kendra.
I think that's right. I think that's correct. Well, I could just tell you I could just click to it. Kestra. While you're clicking and looking it up, Sam wants to know what else Chip Chalmers has directed. Well, Chip Chalmers I never really knew the name too much until I started, doing this podcast, and then you start to notice, okay, who directed this episode, who directed that episode. So, most notably, he directed Captain's Holiday, the Ryza episode, and then this is his second episode. He also directed The Wounded, which is the episode with O'Brien and his old Captain Maxwell attacking Cardassians, which is maybe one of the best episodes of the entire 7-year run. And then Ethics, which is the other episode he directed in season 5. That's the one where Worf is paralyzed and he's
Worf versus the Barrel, and then the
Worf versus the Barrel.
experimental surgery.
Yeah, and he, like, what I find with Chip Chalmers, at least my perception of it, is he does a lot of overhead shots. I know when we did the Ryza episode, Captain's Holiday. We were kind of talking about all the interesting ways they were shooting it and incorporating even the backgrounds and things like that. So, and this being a bottle episode, like, they never leave the Enterprise. So it's a little bit, what are you going to do with an episode like this? How can you kind of spice it up? And we'll see that in some of the screenshots, in particular the scenes in Troy's office. I think they do a lot with those angles. But yeah, like, I think everyone's kind of shared their thoughts. Like, we like it. We don't love it. Do we have any critiques going into our review here that we would like to call out?
It's not a critique, but I would like to say it's really nice to see a Troi focused episode where she's not getting mind assaulted or kidnapped or, something putting her in distress. It's good to see. I mean, it does put her in distress, but not mortal danger, and not in a way so other characters can have feelings about it, like it's how it affects her.
Yes.
So I do like that.
Right. Me too. And how about you, Shaggy?
Yeah, I agree. I just, maybe it'll probably be a point of reference multiple times in this episode. It's just, I want to feel sympathy for her losing her empathic ability, but I mean, did she just lose like years of training, psychology training and counselor training? Like, I get that. Yeah, sure. Your main ability to be able to empathize with people, you lost that ability, but I mean, that shouldn't erase all the training that you've been doing to be ship's counselor.
Yeah, you still do have a degree in psychology, correct? Like, you are, able to do this.
Jim is saying this in the comments as well. I question Troy's validity as a counselor without her powers. Like, pretty sure training must be involved. I agree. She just starts acting like an asshole right away.
Right.
Yeah, like, it's a little too much but I get that in a 45-minute episode, they need to really kind of like explain what she's feeling. And it's mostly like, it's fear, it's anger, it's resentment, that mostly directed at Dr. Crusher for, not fixing her fast enough or not getting to her fast enough. And this ability, like, what do you mean you can't even talk to a patient, without your abilities? But and I think it's an interesting science fiction use, because if she just went blind, well, as an audience we go, okay, I can imagine what it's like to go blind, or what it would be like to lose an arm or something like that, right? But none of us have true empathic abilities. This is not an ability humans actually have. Like, we can read people body language and things like that, and but to have her magical abilities that are presented for the Betazoids, like, she says that directly. You have no idea. You don't even know what you're talking about, because you've never had this ability, so you don't know what it'd be like to lose it. Like, presumably, like, she could, like, resigning seems like an extreme move here. Like, maybe a leave of absence would be more understandable. Once you get out of the danger of the whole, the ship, being dragged across and eventually into a cosmic string, which is going to kill you. But
I also think, like you said, it's a short period of time to show in the story that she's absolutely distressed and distraught by this happening. So she reacts more poorly than she would if she still had her powers, or you know what I mean? Like, it's a very dramatic reaction.
Right. Well, if you also think about the other episode Chip Chalmers directed, which is Ethics, which is like, what would Worf do if he can't walk? He would also throw a bit of a fit, and it's like, kill me, Riker, please.
Take me to Stovacor.
Take me to Stovacor. I can't do this.
Norman says it's better than Man of the People. I think we can all agree on that, Norman.
What's Man of the People? Sorry.
Oh, the one where she is obsessed with that guy for no reason and he sucks.
Oh,
it's the one with the spandex stretching.
Yes. Okay.
Man of the People. I actually just saw that episode the other day, and if I remember correctly, she chews him out for using his empathic abilities to gain an advantage in negotiations for
that's the price.
That you're that's the price. Okay, sorry, my bad.
Heather's favorite episode,
Ugh.
But or least favorite actually, so far at least. But yeah, I like the Troi episodes are always a little different, too. Like, I could see some of the audience being frustrated by that too, where it's mostly, but like, her job is to be a counselor, and this is directly challenging her ability to do that job. So I think it's a pretty good episode compared to a lot of her other ones, actually. If we're ready, we can jump into the screenshots, run through the plot, and talk all about it. So with no further ado, the Enterprise is just chugging along here at Warp, and we got Counselor Troi meeting with her patient, an Ensign Brooks, Janet Brooks, who we find out had recently lost her husband in some kind of an accident, and she's not dealing with the trauma, the grief, and Troi, still having her abilities at this point in the episode, is kind of seen right through this. But it's, even as an audience member without Betazoid empathic abilities, it's, you can follow along the scene where she's like, I'm fine. What's there to worry about and everything else. And then she's talking about how she gave up all of her late husband's possessions after he died, and she has nothing to sort of remember him by. But Troy's like, don't hold the phone. I've been keeping this in a special storage compartment for however long it's been, a few months. And there was some of his personal effects in this box, or it was like a music box. Did it play a tune?
It did, yes.
Right, which I was like, oh, that's good. That's like the tune that nearly made Troi go crazy, when they were dealing with the Kevin, what was his name? Kevin, the Husnock guy. Anyway, so the Dowd.
I thought this was a good scene, and Marina Sirtis did a good job. Like, I don't watch this one super often on my watch throughs, but when she came out with the box and said not everything and handed it to her, like, I found that moving. I think that was a good scene.
Yeah, and she's very much, she's good at what she does, establishing that, with her, helped with her abilities. I got a comment here from Norman. The episode was supposed to provide better understanding of the disabled. I do not think that succeeded. I would agree. If that's what it was meant to do, then or somebody who's, I guess, become disabled, I could see that. But the episode with Melora in Deep Space Nine, that's about somebody, not born with that disability, but having that inherently part of them. But I could see some connection with those two episodes for sure.
But if this episode was meant to represent or help understanding of the disabled, That was a terrible ending. Then she gets her powers back and everything's cool again.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. From that standpoint, I agree. It's not doing it justice, if that was the intent here. Okay, then we come up to the bridge, and this is before they're going to run into the two-dimensional beings, and Captain Picard wants to take Riker to the holodeck to go horseback riding through the mountains or something. And he's like, "Oh, we just need to get you a docile steed, and it'll be fine." And
I love that. We'll get you a little pony, bud. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Are you scared of the big bad horsies, Riker? It's okay.
Come with me to the Himalayas.
Yeah, the Himalayas. He's like, I don't know if I can handle the Himalayas, Captain. He's like, I'd be fine, whatever.
Which is wild to me. Wasn't he born in Alaska? Dude, it's okay. You're used to like rugged terrain. It's cool.
Maybe he's interfering with Riker's social life, which we know is busy. So anyway, then they've come across something here, some kind of an anomaly. They don't know what it is. It came and then went. We also meet, I guess, the new helm officer here on the Enterprise. I think this is McKnight, who's kind of now taking over for Wesley. But Ro Laren gets introduced next season. But we'll see Ensign McKnight a few times throughout this episode. Presumably picking up dialogue that Wesley would have had if he had not left the show. Anyway, so just then, as they're hitting the two-dimensional beings, which they can't see yet at this point, Counselor Troi is saying goodbye to her patient, Ensign Brooks, and in the middle of that conversation, in the archway of her office, she gets the headache. Are you okay, Deanna? Oh, I'm fine. Deanna just, I guess, pushes through and looks strong for Ensign Brooks, and then as Ensign Brooks says, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow for our next appointment," we see. Bad migraine here for Deanna Troi.
That's the tough thing with empathic powers. Like, what else is she supposed to do as an actor to represent, like, oh, my empathic power?
Yes.
Like,
Chip Chalmers said, Marina, just pretend like you're being brain damaged right now.
You know what? She sells it, though.
She does it. Meanwhile, back on the bridge, they can't move. They're and we keep flipping between the bridge and Troi, who's suffering greatly here as they try to go to warp. They can't move, and that is kind of like the teaser of the episode. Troi is passed out on the floor of her office, being brain damaged potentially, and that is our teaser for the episode. Coming off we get the captain's log says, "This is weird. We can't move. We don't know what's happening. Let's figure it out." And Data can't quite explain it right away. They're a little bit, at a loss. Everything should be working, so why don't we go? Because they also ask Data here quickly, like, how fast would we get there if we, how much time have we lost with this little detour? Can we get there? And then he gives the estimate, but he leaves out the seconds. And Riker's like, "What? No seconds?" And he's like, "I found people get impatient if I don't include the seconds. I can include them if you want." And then Riker says no. So careful what you ask for, in my opinion. So yeah, when Picard finally does get the order to go to warp, the ship shakes, and they don't move anywhere. And we got Riker. He calls down to Geordi. "What the hell is going on down there?" Geordi. This has been the theme of the season for me so far, or a big theme, is that Riker's always mad at Geordi.
"You're incapable of that level of incompetence, Mr. LaForge."
Well, maybe he is capable.
To be fair, that wasn't real Geordi.
That wasn't real Geordi, but I'm noticing a trend ever since, where Riker is.
Are you picking up Adam's job of hating on Riker because he's not here?
No, I'm just noticing, observing that Riker's being always like, whenever something's wrong, he's the first one to yell at Geordi, "Get this working."
Just scapegoating Geordi.
Fix it. We need to go. Yeah, we're scheduled to be somewhere. So they can't figure out, everything says that they should be moving, but they're not. So they're going to have to, they try to shake the ship, and Troi, meanwhile, is, her migraine is getting worse and worse as they're interacting with the two-dimensional beings. And she's finally able to, I guess, make a call here. She calls Beverly and says, "Hey, I'm really shook up here and dizzy. Can you come see me?" And Crusher's like, after I'm done treating the skinned elbows and headaches or whatever else.
I do have a question about this. Is it kind of one of those cases where in real life she's kind of prioritizing who's got a worse injury? Because don't you think senior staff would kind of get higher priority to be seen by a doctor?
Yeah, well, she's triaging based on, because when the ship shook, like some people got minor injuries, presumably, and she's been getting calls, but it's also Troi doesn't really give her very much information to go off. She's like, I'm a little dizzy, and maybe you can come see me. So,
but also there are 1,000 people on this ship. Surely there's more medical staff than Beverly Crusher alone.
We got rid of Pulaski, so
yeah.
That's true. Yes, but maybe they didn't want to pay for one more guest star. So hey, we can't do that. So Deanna must wait and suffer while she gets further brain damage. This will become
screenshot looks like when she's getting drunk with Zephram Cochrane in First Contact.
Now don't go criticizing my counseling techniques. That's how it is. What are they trying to do? Keep the ship moving here. Nothing's working. They can't move. They try to go to engage again and nothing. They're like, we really need to get Wesley Crusher back. We should not have let him go. But here we are. And okay, Jordy, figure it out. Then Crusher does finally make her way to Troy's office and gives her a scan, and she's like, oh, I'm not, my headache went away or my dizziness went away. But Beverly does say, I immediately want to take you to sick bay. But then Captain Picard calls, or Riker calls, one of them, and says, hey, all senior staff to the observation lounge. So postpone your medical treatment. We have a meeting. But this is kind of where Troi first realizes that she can't really sense Crusher's like empathic, or through her empathic abilities, but she's not saying it out loud yet. She's not fully come to terms with what's happening to her. As we transition to the next scene, we see the Enterprise now being pulled sideways inexplicably by something. They don't know yet what it is. They're all talking around the room. What could it be? There are no scientific or medical explanations. Worf can't figure it out. Geordi can't figure it out. And then they turn to Counselor Troi. Counselor Troi, do you have any sense of any life forms here? And she cannot. Oh, well, hold the phone. We need to pause here for a moment while we bring in our next panelist, Adam Woodward, everyone. Joining us from some hotel room somewhere. It's hard to say.
Hey guys, I'm in Toronto.
In Toronto.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, nice view here.
Oh, I figured that was a fake view. So
no, there's Nathan Phillips Square. Whoop, that's not it. There, wherever it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
there you are, downtown TO. Well, you're nearby, at least for me, not for the others. But yes, Adam Woodward with us tonight to talk about The Loss. Adam, what do you think about this episode? We need to know your position.
So my second least favorite cast member appearing this season for me is Deanna. Go figure. I find her very whiny in this episode, and entitled, and I don't really enjoy her in this episode. Now, I'm very curious to see what you guys have been saying, so I'll just join and listen for a moment and then add in.
Entitled? How?
It's all about her.
It's all about her.
She is supposed to be more empathetic towards, her, I guess, the team, and what she criticizes them for or coaches them on, she doesn't do for herself. But I guess the therapist is the worst therapist for themselves.
Well, this episode is about losing her empathic powers, and you're saying she's supposed to be more empathetic. Like, if she had gone blind, would you be like, she should see better?
No, I'm not saying that. I just find, she's like everybody else, and like regular people. Anyway, this is she is, which is something she's had her whole life. I'm trying to be sympathetic to that. I'm trying to be empathetic towards that. However, she just annoys me. Just call it the way it is.
She is bitchier than usual in this episode. I will agree with that.
in defense of Troi, she's just gone through something super traumatic and is trying to cope with that. Also, Adam, you'll be happy to know that Dave was hating on Riker in your absence.
Oh, great. Thanks, Dave.
I wasn't hating on him. I just said he likes to give Geordi a hard time.
Listen, you know I'm a Riker defender, and anybody comes for Space Daddy, they're getting it from me.
Yeah. Well, and Adam, you should be happy with Riker in this episode because he's the one who puts Troi, he's the one who tells her like, oh, now I see how it is. Now we're on equal footing. And now you don't have that advantage. You don't have that control of every conversation like you normally do. So.
And honestly, that's kind of harsh. How, but like, I guess you have to remember, and I have to remember, is that this is something she's had her whole life. So taking this away would be a major trauma.
Absolutely.
And as we said at the top of the show, she does say to Beverly, you don't know what this feels like. You can't, it's something you've never had. So you can't imagine what it was like. And Dave was saying, like, as a viewer, we could imagine what it would be like to lose an arm or, something that could happen to a human, but we could never know what that feels like.
Correct. Yeah. Even like, I was very sympathetic to Tom Albrun, whatever his name was. And I thought he was a great character. And when he had quiet and peace, and he described the Chandrins, remember that? As glacial. They're glacial. They have a wonderful ceremony for saying hello that takes 2 days. Like that was a great descriptor of what it might be like for him. So.
Well, you know what? I agree. Stargazer says, let's all agree Troi doesn't handle this disability very well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think like the thing they say at the end is like a good explanation. Like therapists and doctors make bad patients for themselves, and that's kind of emblematic of the behavior we see here. I when I watched this as a kid, I was much more angry with Troi. Like I used to be much more like, what's wrong with why can't you be more professional? But now that I'm older and I feel like I get it why she's so upset here. Like I think like
yeah, if that's her identity and it's how she's defined herself, and also how she's always, Heather, you just said, like, if one of us lost hearing today, we would struggle. So.
Right, especially when it's like it's such a big part of what she does. It's not just like this is like what she does for on her off time. It's like she doesn't feel like she can. Like her usefulness to the crew is this ability, right? Her ability to tell the captain if she can sense something. But Captain Picard even says to her, like, I don't know, every other captain in the fleet has to deal with like a lot of other counselors who don't have your ability. So I'm lucky, but like, it's not like you can't figure it out too.
Yeah. I'm with you, Dave. Actually, as I'm coming around, I came out strong, and I think I'm more empathetic here.
All right. Well, that's good.
You didn't lose your empathic powers.
And you know what?
You still have them intact.
I haven't watched this episode in years. Like, it's not one of my go-tos. I didn't see it. Yeah. I didn't think I'd be on tonight, so I didn't watch it. But I remember it.
Well, you know what? I watched it, and same. I didn't. It's not one I usually watch, but I liked it more than I remember liking it. So that's always nice.
And since you didn't watch it all the way recently, Adam, let's take you through it as we got up to this scene, the scene where they're in the conference talking about
segue, Dave.
Like, is there a life form, Counselor Troi? And she hasn't admitted she can't detect anything, and she's like, I don't think so.
Wait, Dave, just the comment about my audio. I don't know what.
Yes, it's very scratchy.
Yeah,
I'm not using my regular laptop or microphone. I'm just on my work one, so it might be.
It's actually better when you're closer to it.
Okay, well, I'll come closer. Thanks.
So then she says, I can't detect anything. I can't detect you. I can't detect anyone. I've lost my abilities. Ah! What are you going to do? That's a good time for a commercial break. We come down to sick bay where Dr. Crusher is doing the examination on her, and it's pretty blunt. She's like, well, I can see you have some brain damage. And Troi says, well, the Betazoid brain can really heal itself. But she's like, well, but you're half human. So that changes the equation. And maybe your powers will come back and maybe they won't. Who's to say? I can't promise you anything. Troi looking more and more frightened as this conversation's going. And she's getting a little bit more upset. But Counselor or Dr. Crusher trying to be at least upfront about what she's saying here. And Deanna not loving it. kind of leaves off here in a bit abrupt nature and saying, well, I'll either get better or I won't. And she gets pretty snippy with Riker here. And then she leaves, and there's just kind of this look exchange here between Crusher and Riker, which is like, oh boy, this is, that's not how Deanna normally carries herself. So something's up. The Enterprise still being pulled. We go to this scene in her office with Deanna. She's just reading her laptop, I guess. And then when the chime comes from Riker, she has like this startled moment because normally she would know if somebody's already on the other side of the door just by her abilities. But she's like, people are coming around here. And it's Riker to talk. He's like, hey, you want to talk? I don't have a psychology degree, but I got some things I can help you with. And she says no. She's kind of, he's like, hey, come on, like, I'm your friend. And she's gets mostly upset with him here. I can't remember every word she said, but it was, she's pushing him away. He even says Imzadi, and she's like, don't give me that Imzadi stuff. I'm not in the mood. So
we have a question for Fun Facts. Is this a redress of another set?
I'm looking it up.
It may well be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Maybe I think we've seen this set before, but maybe not.
It's very minty green.
Very minty green, very 90s. What's this thing? I wonder. Little art.
It's an empathy mushroom.
Empathy mushroom, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, and while Troi is trying to push Riker out and just kind of go back to her pads and her work, she's, he's like, hey, it's me. It's Imzadi. Come on. I'm here for you. You need somebody. And she's not, not loving it. I've never seen you so scared. And when he leaves, she's just more upset. Then we got Data and Geordi trying to figure out the mystery of why the ship's being pulled. They can't detect anything with the sensors. They send up a probe to look at the ship from above. And then they start looking at the different, EM and infrared spectrums and everything else. And they don't see anything until they do this other one type of scan. And then they're able to see the two-dimensional beings who are floating around them like sort of like little particles in the ocean, or like a coral reef. I think Geordi uses that analogy. And what the hell is that? Meanwhile, back in Counselor Troy's office, she's trying to deal with Ensign Brooks, who in the next, session from her, losing her husband some months ago. This is what I was talking about with the Chip Chalmers camera angles earlier on, because we get this
very cool
overhead shot here in Deanna's office.
Jim called the empathy mushroom the fungus of sharing.
Fungus of sharing. Yeah. It's very minty green and pastels. Like, Adam always complains about the Next Generation Enterprise D decor, but how can you dislike
I love
this?
it. It's like peak late 80s, early 90s. This was like, this dusty rose was everywhere. This was my mom's color palette, dusty rose and slate blue.
My mom too.
My mom as well. We had drapes that color, but it's not so much here, Dave. It's the bridge I find boring.
The bridge in like the corridors.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting shape for that couch.
Yeah.
Little S shape.
Jim says, I kind of want the couch. Me too.
Me too. Anyway, so she's trying to deal with Ensign Brooks, who's like, I'm fine. You're right. I cried last night, and now I'm better. I'm totally over the death of my husband.
She's a new woman.
I cried one time, and now I win at grief. I'm done.
I win. And Counselor Troi, knows better, but she can't detect her emotions like she could in the earlier session. So Counselor Troi then says, I have to tell you, I've lost my empathic abilities, and I'm struggling with this session. I have one hand tied behind my back, and Ensign Brooks is like, oh, well, I can come back, or we can do this another time. And she's like, no, let's keep going. But the session leaves Troi feeling very uncomfortable. We then get a briefing here in the conference room from Data, explain the two-dimensional beings, what they are, how they can't see them in the three-dimensional world. They can only see them from like one particular vantage point being above, and they even give us like the demonstration here of how you can't see just two-dimensional beings from this angle, and then have to be brought.
I like that. I remember that now. Is this the one where they're on a river or something? They're being pulled somewhere.
Well, they're kind of being pulled towards something. They're being pulled towards. They don't know that yet, but they are being pulled. They don't know towards what yet, I guess is more specifically what I mean. But,
you know what also just occurred to me here? I'm just thinking about other episodes where people lost power, like when Q lost his power, and he was in panic mode too. It was a very similar episode to this, and that was a good one too. I did like that better, though.
Well, maybe Troi should have gone to 10 Ford and ordered 10 chocolate sundaes like Q did, and maybe that would have made her feel better. Anyway, so Picard's like fascinating. This is so cool. Who would have ever thought about this? And then Geordi says, "Too bad we can't tell if it's an intelligent life form, though, huh?" And then Troi gets defensive. She's like, "What does that mean? I'm doing the best I can with what I've got right now." And it's like Picard's like, "It's okay, Troi. Don't worry. We know you're trying."
But like in her defense, though, how disorienting would it be to always know how everybody else around you means their remarks?
True.
Like she would know if somebody was being sincere or passive aggressive, or if there's different meanings behind what they're actually saying. So
I would normally agree with that, but she has been with them for quite a while. Don't you think she would have been able to instinctively tell if he's being passive aggressive? I could talk English today. Don't you think she'd be able to tell? I feel like she goes from 0 to 60 really, really, really fast here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not about Geordi, but maybe she knows Geordi well enough to say, "Well, he might be throwing some sass my way right now." So,
he is pretty sassy.
Sassy. Anyway, but Picard's like, "It's okay, Deanna. Like, we know you're doing your best." And then, she kind of really like leaves this meeting in a hurry because like, "Hey, counselor," and then she's just walking out the door without even really, the
gone.
Being dismissed properly, and he's like, "Oh, this isn't good." Then she goes to see Dr. Crusher and says, "I can't do my job. I can't do my abilities." And Dr. Crusher, "How can you people live like this?" she says to Dr. Crusher. She's like, "Well, we have to manage, and you're gonna have to deal with this." And this is, I did pull it here because I thought it would be. Something here. She's like, "How can you know? How can you know anything?"
You have no idea. No idea what this is like. How can you know what it's like to lose something you never had?
I don't claim to.
And yet you're telling me that I'm supposed to get used to it.
If our positions were reversed, what would you tell me?
If our positions were reversed, I wouldn't have been in here treating skinned elbows while you were lying passed out on your office floor. I'd have been there a lot sooner, perhaps in time, to prevent this from ever happening.
Ripped her head off. My goodness.
Not pleased, Dr. Crusher.
Well, Beverly doesn't need empathic powers to know how Troi was feeling there.
Nope, didn't need it. Useless, really. Is that in that particular case? But considering the closeness of Troi and Crusher, it's also especially sort of brutal. Then she leaves. She storms off to her quarters here, Troi. I love how she has like her hands clenched as she's walking too. She's so upset. And gets into her quarters, and she just kind of has this whole like frightened, vulnerable moment. Doesn't know what to do and feeling very alone.
It would have been great if she acted like a Klingon and broke the table or something.
And she's like, did the table. But it then transitions to the next scene, and she's here to resign from Picard, like as ship's counselor. And Picard's just like, what? Like over this? Like, you're resigning? And he's just like, it's like he's banging his head against the wall the entire meeting. He's just like, oh geez, what am I gonna say to her that's gonna help in this situation? And she's like, nope, I can't do my job and I'm useless and you're gonna have to find a replacement for me. He's like, I had a teacher at the academy who I think was lost their sight or something like that, and she's like, stop using your analogies and your metaphors. That's not the same. You don't know, I would say a less harsh version of what she said to Dr. Crusher in the earlier moment, you know.
But maybe they are pushing her a little quick. Like, you know, there's no time to adjust here.
Yeah, it happened like yesterday.
Yeah, like I think she should be taken off duty. She should not be having sessions, like for sure.
Right.
You know, but that was just would be my standpoint. So she's like, please, Captain, just let me resign. You know. And then we have a bit of a jump here. Next scene is Riker coming to see Troi about all this. You know, he's like, you know, so you're going to resign overall? But first he said, you know, he just gives her a hug and he's just there for her and she breaks down crying.
He did have a funny line. It works on Geordi and Worf.
Yeah, hugs. You would be surprised how much Worf loves a hug. You know, makes things better for him. You know, but yeah, this is, you know, like, you know, he's been not just a good first officer, but a good friend here. Obviously, you know, these two having a very special relationship. Obviously, they go on to become married to one another and have children together. But at this particular, I guess they're in their friends with benefits stage here of their relationship. And you know, she's just like, I can't do it. I can't function here. And you know. Eventually Riker is like, so you're just going to walk away from everyone who cares about you, walk away from the ship and the family and everything else you've built here. And then he's like, then he figures it out. You have no idea, you know, isn't that it? We're on equal footing now.
You have no idea how frightening it is to just be here without sensing you, without sharing your feelings.
That's it, isn't it? We're on equal footing now.
What?
You always had an advantage. A little bit of control of every situation. That must have been a very safe position to be in. To be honest, I'd always thought there was something a little too aristocratic about your Betazoid heritage. As if your human side wasn't quite good enough for you.
That isn't true.
Isn't it?
Is it true?
He was completely right.
He just wiped out the whole hug.
He wiped out the hug. He's like, you get the hug, and now you get the harsh truth. Tough love.
You get the hug, and now I'm just saying you're like half a snob, though, babe.
Being a little snobby with your Betazoid aristocrat. We know that her mother, not just a Betazoid, but her mother's is a Betazoid noble or like a high up person.
She's the
right?
daughter of the fifth house, Dave.
Of
Heir
course.
to the holy rings of Betazed, keeper of the sacred chalice of Reeks, none other but the glorious, the magical, the wonderful Luoxana Troi.
That's right.
Xanthe fever.
Exactly.
One.
Anyway, so then Geordi calls off Riker. We're ready to try to break free from the thing. So Riker has to leave and go up. And he's like, hey, I'll talk to you later. I will come check on you later, he says, though. You know, because I do care about you. And she's like, okay, I guess. So... and more crying after Riker leaves. Then they're trying the whole thing here. Like, let's get the ship loose. It doesn't work, basically. I'm kind of yada in this part.
Jumping to warp 6 didn't work.
Yeah, they tried. At least they know what they're up against. And like hypothetically, it should dislodge us in a 2-dimensional world. Well, the hypothetical didn't work out here. And so they're still stuck and they don't know what to do. Then Troi, I guess she left her quarters and she went to 10 forward to sit alone, she's then caught by Guinan, who then comes to have a conversation with her, startles her, scares her. Apparently her sense of hearing was also affected by losing her empathic abilities.
This is one of Guinan's biggest hats ever. I love it. The shoulder pads, the velour. She looks gorgeous in that color. A+ Guinan look. Excellent.
Yeah,
lay down the wisdom.
And she's like, I heard you're leaving the ship's counselor. Well, I'm going to tell Picard I want the job, actually. It seems a lot better than bartending. And she's like, no, it can't. Like, you don't understand. When people come into the bar, they tell you things they want to share. Right? With ship's counselor, it's your job to like figure out what they don't want to share. You know? And she's like, I can figure that out. It doesn't seem that hard. I'm only like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years old. She's like, no, but I went to like school for this. So you gotta understand. Oh, well, it seems like you could discern something. Like she's like, you're just trying to use like reverse psychology on me. She's like, how'd you figure that out without your empathic abilities? Oh, I guess I can figure something.
It's that training thing that she got.
Yeah. Really good use of like, it's a good scene. It's a good use of Whoopi Goldberg's Guinan character. So, you know, who would she listen to? Maybe not the other mains, but someone like Guinan, you know, who is not a counselor, but
she would do a darn good job at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really, it's like fun little scene. Absolutely. Then meanwhile, Data gets a detection here. He starts to realize, we're not just being pulled along. We're being pulled towards something specific, something with lots of gases in it, and they put it on the screen. And we find out about what's this thing called a cosmic
string.
Cosmic string, yeah.
Which is kind of like a black hole. It's like a smaller black hole. It's string shaped almost, right? It's gravitational forces,
but it's a string.
It's a black string. I don't know.
No, it's purple, Dave. Clearly,
it's a purple. Okay, this metaphor doesn't work, but they're heading towards it, and it's gonna kill them if they are pulled into it. Is the point? So, and they're headed right for it. So we see the Enterprise now in peril. Now could be destroyed if they can't break free from the pull of the two-dimensional beings. Picard's like, this started off as like an inconvenience. Now this is getting really ugly. I always wonder, like, couldn't they have like separated the ship, you know, potentially to get out of this, or could they, you know, just have launched the escape pods, potentially, if they had to, like, you know, if they.
Yeah, you know, Picard does yell at Geordi later to return the ship in one piece. So I don't know if he'd like the idea of separating the ship. Maybe
not. No one likes it, but sometimes it's necessary. Anyway, but then now let's discuss.
Don't like it.
So they're moving along here. Worf's like, I recommend firing photon torpedoes, which is what what Worf always recommends. And Picard's like, well, maybe, but Data's like, you know, we don't even know what that would do to them. Maybe we could just fire the photon torpedoes in front of them and see how they react. Okay, let's give it a shot. You know, and Geordi backs it up. He's like, there might be some science to this. Let's give it a shot. So Worf, you know, under Picard reluctantly gives the order to fire the photon torpedoes. We get like kind of this different view.
It's a really cool view, in my opinion.
Yeah, the two-dimensional beings here, and so they fire off the 5 photon torpedoes to see, or yeah, I think it's 5. They blow up, but nothing happens. It has no effect. So then they even try like firing them right into them, and that doesn't work either. So they are completely out of options. They don't know what to do. We go back to Counselor Troi, who's packing up her office, getting ready for her next, whatever she's going to do next. But Ensign, you know, so-and-so, Ensign Redshirt, Brooks, she comes to see her, and she's like, oh, I meant to cancel your appointment. I'm resigning as ship counselor. But she's like, I just want to know you were right. Our last session, you did do a good job, and you did say the right things to me. And you're right. Crying for one night wasn't enough to get over the death of my husband. So Heather, you did it without even trying. It's kind of like you didn't need the feather at all, Dumbo. You could fly all along. You know,
your years of training actually pays off.
Yeah.
I was Stargazer actually commented here, but I was curious what Heather thought of Ensign Brooks's hair as well.
It's amazing.
What?
It's fantastic. It's so like very 80s infomercial. Mom can't open the milk because it's too fling and hard to open, so she needs like a spout to put in it.
It looks like that Sucrets commercial. Barbara, are you up? And Barbara had that kind of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
is that real hair, Heather, or is
style.
that wig? If you had to guess.
Hard to say. I think it might be real.
Yeah,
that's real.
There's a lot of it though. So, but you know, redheads do have more hair.
I don't remember that. This is like technically this is still the end of the 1980s, and hairspray is a big deal.
It's a homage to Dr. Crusher's hair.
Yes, Dr. Crusher's real hair.
Yes. Anyways,
Jim says Ensign Reba McIntyre.
There are worse things.
That's
There
good.
are worse things.
Stargazer says, I think her hair is dated. Yes, absolutely. You can date this show by her hairstyle.
It's dated to the 2360s.
Fashion is cyclical. It'll come back.
And so is apparently, paint and furniture.
Why? In Star Wars, everything looks like the 70s. So why would it be any different?
That's true. Adam, what do you think of her hair?
I can't stand it. I never. This is the worst part of the 80s was this kind of hair.
That was the worst part of the 80s?
That was the worst part of the 80s.
I love the 80s. I was a teenager through the 80s. But I didn't enjoy this kind of hair on women or men.
Stargazer says, when I look at her hair, I stuff her.
It's true. And you know what else? Like feathering. Remember feathering?
Yes. You didn't like that? Farrah Fawcett?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, if it's Farrah Fawcett, he's okay with it.
That was the 70s, though.
More of the 70s. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'll take this down if it's hurting people. Then we go to Captain Picard, who's just playing with the trinkets on his desk. No idea what to do to get out of this situation. So he called Counselor Troi, or ex-Counselor Troi, as she is at this point. And he's like, hey, Counselor, I wanted to talk to you. He's like, we don't have any ideas. We have no idea what to do. Scientifically, we can't do anything. Data's trying to figure something out in the conference room. I want you to go join him. And she's like, I can't do anything. What am I going to do? Are they taking off like her normal makeup here to like?
Totally.
Yes.
They're making her look tired and stressed, and
yeah,
they did
they
that
don't have
well.
any lipstick or blush on her, and just minimal eye makeup, and it's to make her look like withdrawn, sick, pale.
You notice it a lot, or at least I do.
Yeah, because they put very dramatic eyeshadow and blush on her, and always a lip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to see her without it,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he's like, we're either gonna get killed by this cosmic string, or you're gonna help Data. So why don't you go help Data and see what happens? So okay, sure. What do you got to lose at this point? Anyway, so Data and Troi working in there, and she's just like, well, like why don't we try to get into the psychology of them? My human instincts are not helping, and Data's like, I don't even have human instincts, so we're kind of on equal footing here in some ways. She's like, well, sometimes horses run into a burning barn, and what was the other analogy? Like moths to the flame.
Moth to the flame. To
me, like the correct analogy here would have been something like, what if they're like returning home like salmon do? We always hear about the salmon that swim up river to lay their eggs to wherever they were born. That would have made probably more sense to use here.
Well, I like the moth to flame analogy, but yes, I think it does end up being salmon returning home, because that was actually the thought I had at the end. I was like, oh, I think it makes more sense if it was salmon doing their instinct of, swimming up the streams that they grew up in.
See, but I think that the writers always went to the lowest common denominator, and maybe the salmon comment would be lost on a lot of their audience if people.
Yeah, you're probably right, because I don't know if I would have understood what that meant, especially watching this when I was like 7 or 8. But I don't know if I would understand a horse going into a burning barn. Why would a horse run into a burning barn for?
But moth to flame, I think, is a pretty common one, right?
Moth to flame would be the most of these ones, yeah.
I don't think, I don't know. I don't think moth to flame or salmon swimming upstream is like one is more known than the other. I don't know.
You know what? I think that Star Trek Next Generation did this often. Remember the episode where, who was it? Oh my gosh, the Shellyak. No, who talks in metaphor? No, it was the metaphor. It was the Dharma.
Oh,
Dharma.
And they were talking about it
Yes.
was Data and whoever were describing. Oh, it's like when Romeo or Juliet on the balcony, and then they had to describe that meant romance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like just treat us like adults, and we kind of understand.
But most of the time, when it gets too technical, too sciencey, we need some kind of a basic metaphor so everyone can get it. Okay, we need to sour the milk. We need to do this, right? Etc. And this was the metaphor.
I don't mind. Like, I really like the idea of Juliet on the balcony, but we didn't need that. It elicits or references romance. Like, we didn't need the second part to that, I don't think.
But that was the whole point. You would if you didn't know who Romeo and Juliet were.
Yeah, but exactly. Thank you. I get it.
Yeah,
but
you're welcome.
They could have.
All right.
I'll leave it alone.
So he's like, well, I guess that is. What if they're just going on instinct? What if they think that they're gonna kill themselves by flying into this cosmic string? But what if they're really not? Because we just found out that the photon torpedoes do nothing to them. So why would this do anything to them? And he's, so they come up with this idea, like we're gonna trick them by creating a fake cosmic string with the main deflector, which Geordi backs up, saying we can just do a vibration. We can do we can vibrate the deflector enough to fool them, just long enough for us to kind of escape the wake of this. And I won't draw this out too much. Like we get a really nice close up of the main deflector. With all the texture and everything here. And we hear it vibrating, and it shakes the ship a little, and they need to stabilize it at one point, and they keep going, and eventually it works. They're able to get out of the wake of the two-dimensional beings just long enough to get away and get the hell out of there. So on their way, and the beings are then on their way towards where they want to go, and just like that, Troi gets another rush of feeling. Where she's feeling this, maybe not in her head. I don't know. Maybe in somewhere else. But they're saying, "What's wrong, counselor?" And she's like, "It's okay. It's okay. They are home. They found their home."
They know. She does this so well. She looks absolutely radiant here, and even before she says it,
Yeah.
And they put her makeup back on.
It just magically appeared back on her face
just with her powers. Her empathic powers give her that glow.
That is the true magic of her abilities.
But she has a lovely smile here, and it's like that last week when we were talking about how at the birthday party, they made that joke and they were genuinely laughing. It's the same kind of smile she has here.
Yeah.
It's all good. Riker's like, yes, it's happening.
And he's beaming her a thought about meet me later in 10 forward.
Am I Mzadi again? Am I Mzadi? Maybe. Then we have a scene after that. Counselor Troi is now wearing a different outfit, so presumably
for the third time. They put her in all her outfits for her episode.
Yeah, she got the green dress on here in 10 forward, talking to Riker and Crusher and Guinan. Everyone she kind of had other than Picard, people she all had a little bit of a freak out on in various ways.
Can we just? I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we just look at Guinan's dress, because I didn't get a good look at this earlier? See how the band in the middle goes up the arm, and then that's really good costuming. Do you see what I mean? It swirls up the arm, and then it kind of continues that pattern into the dress. That's why Guinan's only wearing one outfit per episode, because they spent a lot of money on her outfit.
Right. So they're like, well, we'll at least put Deanna in a different outfit to show that this is a different day or time. But they probably only had Whoopi Goldberg for that one day, so or a couple days to shoot both her scenes.
Well, it's sort of a little asymmetrical, and I think that kind of gets to be more of a fashion choice in the 90s. So she's definitely ahead of the time period here.
Yeah. I agree. Well, she's very old, She's seen the fashion come and go all around. Next season, bell bottoms.
It's all cyclical. She's like, I've seen it all come and go. So she apologizes to Beverly in particular. She's like, it's okay. I'm cool. It's, we make the worst patients, you, me, and anyone in our professions. So cool. I'll see you later. And then she thanks Guinan. Guinan's like, is the counselor job still open? She's like, it's taken. It's mine. You can't have it. This reminds me of when I was in high school, I was on the stage crew, and the guy who ran the backstage, he's like, I'm going to resign. I'm not doing this. And I said, oh, maybe I'll try to ask to be the stage manager. Actually, I want it again now that you want it. So kind of remember me of that moment. Classic. Anyway, so she thanks Guinan for the advice and the little nudge she got. And then eventually it's just Riker and Troi. and she thanks him for like helping her realize that she was, part of what she was struggling with, and everything else. And he goes in for a big old kiss here at the end, right? And then she's like,
I just
hey,
love their chemistry. Like anytime the two of them are on screen together, I love it. They're wonderful.
The next time you call me aristocratic,
there'll be no kiss. And then, but they cut away before we see the kiss.
Oh, they got a kiss.
No, it happened. It happened.
It was probably,
but
she's feeling a lot better now. If they had something more, as you said, friends with benefits.
But then she says in Insurrection that she's never kissed him with a beard.
She does. Yeah. She does say that.
Maybe they weren't kissing, y'all.
Ah,
that was almost a kiss. That was almost a kiss right there. But maybe we never actually see them kiss on camera, so it doesn't mean it's
like,
wrong.
Is there I wonder if there's a rule somewhere in the Starfleet manual about fraternization between senior officers?
Well, there probably should be if there's not. Anyway, so that is the end of the episode. Adam, do you have any trivia you can share for us?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. I was very. This brought up the cosmic string here. So I went. It's a hypothetical object. It's a fantastically thin. This is the theory. Incredibly dense crack in the fabric of the universe.
Just let me pause you there for. You might want to lean in because we're getting that
Sure.
crackling effect.
Pardon me.
Better?
Get right up close. Yeah.
Is it better now?
That's better. It's not happening as much.
Okay. So they describe it here. Imagine a freezing a pond, and as the ice forms, the cracks will appear in different regions of the ice where they meet, where the sections meet. Physics think that as the early universe cooled, similar cracks could have formed in space itself, and those would be the cosmic strings. So basically, what are the key elements? They're much thinner than an atom. There's a single kilometer of a cosmic string would weigh more than Earth itself. Enormously long, and they're not made of matter.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very.
I couldn't find it about the redressing of the of that room. Where are we here? Sorry, guys, I'm just looking something up here. Oh, but they did talk about the Enterprise D observation lounge. Basically, did you know this? It was redressed as the officers' mess in Enterprise A in Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country.
I did know that.
You did. I didn't know that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Me neither. That's why Dave's the trivia champ.
That's why I'm a trivia champion. Tonight I told Jane I'm an expert in Star Trek: The Next Generation, which she tried to buck me on. I said, I think I kind of am an expert. I don't know what gets me, but I have it. I think I have an expertise.
I agree.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just flipping between. I don't have like I said, I don't have my usual screens open here. I'm trying to.
I got a fun fact to share if you're looking.
Okay, go ahead.
The Breen are mentioned for the first time in this episode ever.
Yes, I heard that. I didn't realize it was the first time. That makes sense, though.
And they, like the Ferengi, are empathically undetectable by betazoids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Marina Sturgis also recalled that many fans with disabilities reacted warmly to this episode. That would make sense to me.
Yeah. I also like to add that the Counselor Troy's office was seen in The Price, which is, again, Narduzzi's favorite episode. But it was redressed. But it pretty much stays in this form that we see it in this episode throughout the rest of the show.
No, wait. The Price is the one where Buddy is like draining her and using her powers. No. Man of the People is the one that I hate.
No, you don't like The Price, remember? Because that's Devin Rao and the whole thing with the wormhole.
I thought he was Man of the People.
No, that's
the Price was the other guy. Oh, wow. No. Anyway.
Just
I definitely don't like Devin.
They purposely wrote Troi to go through all 5 stages of grief in this episode. So she started with denial, telling everybody she's fine in sickbay. and would be fine tomorrow. Then she becomes angry and demeans Riker for his presence. Then she starts bargaining, combining with anger. She berates Dr. Crusher for not being there, and was convinced that Dr. Crusher's slow response was the cause of her condition. And then finally, grief, she breaks down in front of Riker in the quarters, and then finally she accepts it and starts to recover and do better, and when she gets her powers back.
All the stages of grief.
That's cool. I didn't notice that, but of course, yes, that makes sense.
You guys mentioned it, but she wears all three of her main uniforms: her maroon jumpsuit, her gray jumpsuit, and her teal dress. And of course, Guinan, who has about as many different outfits as she does, only had the one through the whole episode.
Well, she wasn't going to upstage her.
And although she had held the role of ship's counselor since the beginning of the series, this is the first time Troi is actually depicted of actually confirming this is conducting a regular therapy session. This is the first time we saw that.
This is the first time we've ever seen her do that? Wow.
That also made me think of in the one with Buddy, who's like using her like the picture of Dorian Gray, where she's getting like sexier and sexier, and then she's giving the counseling session and listening to that woman, and she goes basically like, your problems are shit and you're shit. Get out of my office.
You are beyond professional help. This is really no going anywhere.
And Dave, if you got any more, I'll throw it back to you.
That pretty much it. I think like to the earlier comment, I just have something interesting here from Michael Pillar, because he said that this was the basic idea has been pitched to us every season, with Troi losing her sense of empathy. So they had thought about this episode for a while. Finally, because we needed a Troi show, we said, let's do it here. But according to Pillar, the bottom line for me was that these shows work because the journey is interesting, and that's what she learns and what she goes through has something interesting and involving and ultimately educational, in that we are showing off the stages of someone who has a serious disability and what they go through when they are suffering this. But I think to the point is like, but then she gets her ability like back at the end. So it kind of it negates all that. So that's what they were intending.
So Dave, they did actually consider not returning those powers.
Yes. Draven was saying that in the comments as well. I'm glad they didn't either.
Like it would have made the episode stronger, and I think it would have been like in terms of it, like, you know, speaking to people with disabilities, I think that would have been the more bold, brave choice. But in terms of like, then you can't have that for the rest of the show. I think, you know.
Well, I mean, they could have done it like they did with Odo. He was a solid for however long, and then got his
right, or just like how Worf. You know, Worf right now is in this period where he has no honor officially,
right.
So he has to get it back. You know, they would do this,
and then the barrel takes it away from him again.
Exactly. Bring back Chip Chalmers. All right. Well, with that said, let's rate our episode here, everyone, and put up our scores tonight. We are talking The Loss and our ratings for The Loss. I'll start us off. I think this is good. A 7 for me. Adam?
Yeah, I'll go with a 7 too. I like the effects more than I like the episode. I really do like how they showed that string moving, and then the Enterprise illusion that they're sitting on a river, kind of going wherever it's going. And again, this is before CGI and just sort of layering in, you know, I don't even know what they do, but it was before CGI. Pretty cool.
Actually, well. I gotta raise my rating to a 7.5 because I'm looking at my ratings for the rest of this season, and I think this is just as strong as Legacy, if not better. So,
well, the only reason I have a 7, I don't love Troi episodes.
I'm better with them. So okay, so over to Narduzzi.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because I liked it at least as much as Final Mission. It's not my favorite ever, but it's a good episode. I like Troi. We get costumes. We get misplaced blame. Guinan. We get a little joke from Riker. 7.5.
All right, 7.5. And Shaggy, you are last to vote.
Yeah, I think I was probably prepared to be a little bit harsher. But Adam bringing up that that she does go through the 5 stages of grief, and I would have rather that been the focus than, you know, her losing her empath abilities and then getting it back in the same episode. Still not one of my favorite. I'd probably give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So Shaggy is the low point tonight.
Stargazer gives it a 7. Jim says a weaker 7, like 7.25.
Okay. Well, that's a stronger 7. Like a 6.99. So we're averaging a 7.1. The IMDb score for this episode is 6, which is lower than almost anything else I see here for this season. So
Draven says it was an okay episode that if it was not there would pretty much change nothing in the series. That is true, and rates it a 6.
I think that's true, but like
Yeah.
there's a lot of episodes that if they weren't there, they wouldn't matter either. So
That's the nature of episodic shows with no big
I probably
arc.
would give it a higher rating if she went through a journey of a period of time without her powers and gained it back somehow later. That like Odo, like Worf. I agree. I think that probably would have been a stronger message.
The other thing is that this season is full of excellent episodes. So while it is a good episode, it's in very rarefied company, you know?
well said. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good segue actually, because we can look ahead to our next podcast, our next review here. We will be covering season 4, episode 11. It is called Data's Day. As Data navigates the wedding preparations of Keiko Ishikawa and Miles O'Brien, he also investigates the apparent death of a Vulcan ambassador en route to the neutral zone. Ooh. So look out for that. Data's Day, like a classic episode, maybe one of the strongest, you know, like it's all like written from Brent Spiner, or I guess Data's, you know, personal log, and you know how he sees the ship and everything.
Well,
else.
it's not personal logs; it's letters to Bruce Maddox.
Oh, that's true. It's a letter to Bruce Maddox.
Space letters.
Space letters, as you're used to getting.
Emails before emails.
Yeah.
Emails before. Yeah, he's dictating.
I love this episode. I'm very. Do you have me down for this one? Because I love it.
You're the only one I have down right now.
Yay!
So,
yeah, I'll be there.
All right. So look out for Heather and Adam and TBD on Data's Day.
Maggie, come on. Man.
I'll have to check my schedule, but more than likely I might be able to be there.
All right. Well, maybe Shaggy. I'll put a question mark next to your name.
Isn't that like a big week for you guys down there? You got Independence Day is coming.
Oh gosh, that's next Saturday. Yep. Jeez.
Yeah, but before that, it's Canada Day, Shaggy. So you better recognize.
That's right. We're born on the 1st of July, bitch.
Yeah, first. You can be 4th.
I'm sorry, I called you a bitch, Shaggy.
It's all good. I've been called way worse.
Aristocratic.
Aristocratic.
A
I
little
think that's
bit.
what he's been known for. Oh, okay. Well, so check it out next week. Also, we are also doing our Firefly podcast on Mondays, where a lot of us are watching it for the first time. It's going over well, I think, with the team.
I'd like to say Draven put in the comments, because Draven joined late tonight. Oh, I missed it. Been watching y'all's Firefly hate casts. And I said, thanks for hating it with us.
I actually didn't mind last episode.
We liked episode 3
we like so far
better, but we'll be doing episode 4 on Monday. It's called.
I can already tell I'm going to hate it. Look at the stupid outfits. Like
costumes. What do you mean stupid outfit?
It's the stupid Western wear of that era. I don't
looks like you know what she looks like? You remember those like Barbie dolls that people would put frilly skirts on and use them to hide the toilet paper?
Yes.
That's what she looks like.
That's right.
Hey, Nathan Fillion looks great in this kind of classic look. The vest is really nice. The tie he's got is really nice. That nice green jacket he's got is good.
Maybe we should get Shaggy on Monday nights just so he can
the jacket's a little long on the sleeves there. If you go back.
Well, it's I'm pretty sure it's going to be swallowtail coats on the back half of that.
I mostly suspect the Monday podcast for this particular episode to be mostly about the fashion that we see, but we'll see how it all plays out. So check that out. Soon we're coming back for Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which I guess is starting up in July for the new season. So look out for that. We'll probably have to put one of the podcasts on hiatus. And
I have high hopes, Dave. High hopes.
And we also, guys, guess what? We finally have our Babylon 5 themed Trivial Debates locked up. It's happening allegedly on July 12th. So
who are you debating? You're the only fan.
I'm the judge. Right? But guess what? Jim the Casual, who is often in our comments, will be participating. So that's exciting.
You know what? I'm going to tune in for that because
Jim's
very funny in the comments.
Jim is funny, and I'm glad that you like to see me get fed up. I have to say.
Yes.
When we were talking about Strange New Worlds, Draven says Captain Tight Pants. That's right. Can't wait.
Captain Tight Pants. Look out. All right. Well, we'll leave you with a quote.
So I can start doing that pike thing. I love it.
Yes.
You got to get a nice coif going there, Adam. You know,
I need about 2 more inches, I think. But yes,
you do. But you can get there. I believe in you.
Peak.
All right. Well, with that, we'll say goodnight. We'll leave you with a quote, and we'll see you next time here on Live Long and Podcast. Thanks to the whole panel, and bonsoir.
You have no idea how frightening it is to just be here without sensing you, without sharing your feelings.
That's it, isn't it? We're on equal footing now.
What?
You always had an advantage. A little bit of control of every situation. That must have been a very safe position to be in. To be honest, I'd always thought there was something a little too aristocratic about your betazoid heritage. As if your human side wasn't quite good enough for you.
That isn't true.
Isn't it?
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And take a peek into the darkness with Heard Noise, Must Investigate with Michael Chan. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.